Thank you for joining me. You're watching the Silent Sports Gamer channel. Silent Sports Video Blog, episode 147. Today's date is October 17th, 2020. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Troy West, and thank you for joining me. We got us hopefully a quick and easy show today. I did a lot of my NFL talk on Thursdays. We'll talk still a little bit of NFL. I did all my game picks and everything I normally do on Saturdays. On Thursday, since there was no Thursday night football game, so you go back and look at that if you want more football coverage. Episode 146 is in also a playlist on the channel, so you go check that out. Just going to touch on a few things in the NFL. Le'Veon Bell decided to go with the Chiefs. We're still talking about the big games coming up in the NFL this week, and COVID starting to strike the NFL again, leads back and forth. So we'll talk a little bit about that. NBA news this week, of course, you know the LA Lakers won the championship. Of course, I didn't talk that much about it as they clinched earlier this week. We're talking get into that. Daryl Morey steps down as Rockets GM, and Ty Lue will be the next coach of the LA Clippers. So that's an interesting story we'll talk about. And then MLB updates, of course. World Series ain't set yet. Astros has come all the way back to force a Game 7 today against the Tampa Bay Rays, so the Rays are starting to lose it. And my Atlanta Braves, that's why I wore the hat today. Hopefully they able to finish off the Dodgers, but the Dodgers was able to survive last night as well, winning the fourth of Game 6. Clay Kershaw again came up short in game number 4, and the Braves took a 3-1 lead, but the Dodgers was able to bounce back last night and win the fourth of Game 6. So that's what's going on in MLB. Go back to the ALCS because we always start with baseball here to get it out the way. Astros, I think they might do it. Just got a feeling the momentum's with them now. They might be the second team to come back from a 3-0. They was down 3-0 in this series. They came all the way back to force a Game 7. Tampa was dominating them. Houston with the cheating schedule in 2017, so it sort of feels like nobody really validating them now for that championship. People been burying them, ready to bury them after the 3-0 lead, but Dusty Baker, like I said, I love Dusty Baker. I think he's a very underrated manager. He's been to the World Series a few times, just to haven't gotten it done. Or his teams just gone after he left, like the Washington Nationals. I think he could have probably got them over the hump. But anyway, I'm happy for him. That's why I wouldn't mind Houston winning. The Dusty Baker can get a World Series ring, but yeah, the cheating, was cheating or whatever. But I gotta give them credit. They bounced back and forced a Game 7. So I think they're gonna beat the Rays tonight, even though I think they probably got Blake Snell going, if I had to guess correctly, going for them tonight. So Game 7 could be a coin flip, but Houston, they got this far. I think they're going to finish them out. I feel like they're going to win this game tonight. They got the experience. Tampa ain't going nowhere. Tampa will be good, probably starting next year as well. They're going to rival the Yankees in this division. I think Boston sort of on a rebuild. Orioles ain't gonna be nothing. I can say that living in Baltimore and being an Orioles fan as well. They're not gonna be good for a while. Toronto could be, if they get some more pitching there, they could be a dangerous team as well. So the AL East still gonna be as strong as ever. But I don't think the Rays go all the way, even if they lose this series tonight. But it'd be history. It'll only be the second time it happened. Of course, the 04 Red Sox was down 3-0 in the ALCS, another ALCS series against the Yankees. They came all the way back and won the series and won the World Series for the first time in, since the 1900s, like basically 100 years or so, breaking the curse. And they've been consistent really ever since, even though a little up and down, because I think they was in last place this year in the division. So a little up and down, but I think they really rebuild it this time. I think they won't be down for a few years before they could get back. Chris Sale, disappointing. Talk about disappointments. He I don't know, he seemed like a different guy since they won the World Series in 2018, and it's a little rumbles that they did a little cheating as well, but yeah, the Astros, I think they might finish that 3-0 deficit off and win the whole thing, they get to the World Series. And it'd be crazy if the Dodgers come back and we get a rematch, Dodgers Astros. Now if that happens, it's going to be at least 1 or 2 little scuffles, little fights here, because the Dodgers still peed off about 2017, and they let it be known publicly that they still peed off. So if that series wind up happening, that's going to be a brawl series. But I hope my Braves able to finish off the Dodgers. I feel the same way. If the Braves let the Dodgers force a Game 7, I don't like my Braves chance. I think they need to win it tonight, get back to the World Series. I think we've been to the World Series to swept 96 or 98. I think they lost to the Yankees twice. So I think 98 is the last time the Braves to the World Series. 97 was Cleveland, Florida Marlins. Florida Marlins won. So I think 98. It was either 98 or 99. Well, NAFA is 99. I think 1999. 98, I think was they swept the Padres for their first, because they won 3 straight. Swept the Padres, then we beat my Braves, then beat the Mets in the Subway Series in 2000. So yeah, so I want to say 1999 was the last time my Braves went to the World Series. I grew up a Braves fan. I let that be known all the time, anytime I get a chance. Growing up as a little bit, that was the first sports team I ever rooted for, was the Atlanta Braves. Used to watch them on the Superstation back in the day, back in the 90s, when Ted Turner owned the Braves. Used to put them on TV every day, nationally, so it doesn't matter. So my late father, he used to turn them on and watch them sometimes, and it was winning at the time. Braves was good, from pretty much the whole 90s decade, but they only was able to win, like I said, 1 World Series during that time. Like I said, even the Marlins has won 2. For example, for saying something. So, the great, the 3-headed monster is most glaring than Maddox. Just always seemed like we had the advantage, but just to never get it done. So, I'm hoping as a fan the Braves finish them off today. I want to see a Game 7. And I think Houston is going to finish off the Rays tonight. Alright, let's move on to the NBA. Like I said, NBA season's over. Congratulations to the LA Lakers. They win their 17th championship in franchise history. LeBron James, his 4th. Oh yeah, I didn't write it down, but I gotta remember my top 5. I promise I was gonna do my top 5 NBA players of all time. Like I said, I gave it a lot of thought this week. Of course, everybody been talking about Michael against LeBron. So, you know who my top 2 is. It'd be the bottom 3. That might be controversial, but speaking of the Lakers will dominate that 5. So let's get a little teaser there. But let's, matter of fact, let's go ahead and get into the news first off the court. Ty Lue, Clippers basically promoted him because he was already assistant to Doc Rivers there in LA. He gets the job. Ty Lue, he's a former champion. He won with LeBron in 2015 when they beat the Warriors. Came back from 3-1 to beat the Warriors. They say he challenged LeBron, and if you could challenge LeBron, who else can challenge you? People say Doc was a little laid back. It was a report came out this week that Kawhi Leonard, who I think is from San Diego, will go all the way home. Instead of staying close to LA, will go home. So he would drive up from San Diego for practice every day. He was pretty much late all the time. Or if they had the flight to go on the road, he was always late because he had to drive up from San Diego to LA. And all you hear from people that lives in California, like the traffic is terrible. Like basically got to leave 2-3 hours before just in LA alone. So So that was the issue that was rubbing people the wrong way. Of course, the issues with Lou Williams when he was outside the bubble. Montez Harrell was just more sympathetic because he lost his grandmother, so I could understand how he could probably have some issues. Paul George was depressed and everything, so there was a lot of issues for the Clippers. But like I said, I didn't have them beating the Lakers anyway. Firstly, like I said, I just think the Lakers, like I said, the big men, like as far as scoring, the big men is pretty much been taking out the game. As far as still need the rim protector, still need somebody to rebound, still need a big man. The Lakers got 3 great ones. McGee, whatever you could say about him, he's goofy. Him and Dwight Howard, he got some goofy in them, but when they play, they can be a force. And of course, Anthony Davis, probably a top player in this league himself. I think he needs to get more assertive. I think some people write about that for the Lakers. We have rumors that they try to get Chris Paul. That'd be nuts. But let's focus on the Clippers. Stay on the Clippers here. I think this is a good hire. I think Ty Lue can, like it was out here, can make people accountable. Like Kawhi, sort of this year, they said he, that load management and wanted to take games off. Said rub people the wrong way. Pat Bev, had issues with that. At least that's what they were saying. Those guys, they come from a different cloth. He had to scrap to get where he was. So I have Kawhi, because Kawhi wasn't a known commodity either. But I think Greg Popovich helped him a lot, and I think he'll admit that. Going to the Spurs helped him a lot. And what he did in Toronto last year, some people started to say, that's a fluke. But no, that's, even though, the Warriors was hurt, if Durant was healthy, if Klay Thompson was healthy, I think the Warriors would have beat the Raptors, but you still had to beat Milwaukee, which they did, shut them down. Philadelphia, of course, who Doc Rivers now coaching, he got a job 2 days after he left, so no problem with that. And I think that's not a bad hire for the Sixers either. It's just going to depend on Embiid and Simmons. Can they coexist and see what they put around the roster? But I think it's a good hire, for the Clippers. I think this will help. But like I said, the West is going to be brutal next year. You see what Phoenix did in the bubble. They're going to be a playoff contender. The Kings, not bad either. I just think they still need more help. But it's not going to be no easy games. You got the Kings, you got the Pelicans with the young talent. And they looking at Stan Van Gundy, I think it's the leader in the clubhouse to get that job. I think Stan can adjust to today's game. But I think talking to today's players is going to be an issue. I agree with that. Some pundits were saying that, like they need to maybe get a younger coach. But if that happens, then it happens. But I think they still going to be good. Brandon Ingram, can he take the next step? And can Zion Williamson stay healthy? Had to be 2 big factors for New Orleans Pelicans. But today, that's another good team. I'm talking about, this is just the bottom of the barrel. I mentioned Phoenix. Denver will be back next year. I think Denver proved me wrong. I thought Denver would be a nice little, they got a nice little team. But I think Jamal Murray took his step into somebody stardom, and I believe in him now. And Jokic too. I think that's there. If they have Michael Porter Jr. Develops maybe, or they get another guy, another sort of superstar, somebody that can get their own shot off, I think Denver would be a force to be reckoned with as well. So the Lakers even gonna have problems next year repeating. They're gonna have a lot of competition. Utah ain't gone nowhere. I think they need to add some help for Donovan Mitchell. I love Donovan Mitchell. He's one of my favorite players. The Blazers will be back and healthy. So the West is just deep, So it's going to be a problem for anybody. So the Clippers can't assume they'll be in position next year than they was this year. Lakers can't either. That's why the Lakers probably trying to improve their team, because they know the other teams improving. I ain't even talking about the Eastern Conference. It's going to be an interesting year next year. I can't wait. But the hire is good. I think somebody else will say he already know the problems there. If they'd have brought an outside coach, it would have been a little bit harder and rein everybody in. So, and like I said, I think Tyler deserved this job, just by what he's done at Cleveland too. So, a good hire for the Clippers. I'm not necessarily thinking to change fortune, but I think they need to definitely focus on getting out the second round. You know, just getting out the second round. I'm not saying, even though if they keep this team together, you know, they might try to move Paul George. I think that's gonna be hard to do with his contract. But I don't know if this team gonna get reshaped or not. But if they bring this team back, they need another big man. Like I said, they need another sort of a dirty big man. I mean, somebody that's gonna rebound and block shots consistently. They need somebody like that, and then I think they could probably challenge anybody in the Western Conference. And then Paul George gotta play better. That's obvious as well. But I think it's a good hire though. I think they got the right person because he can fix the little itty bitty problems, I guess, if you want to call them that, in the organization. Other off the court news, sort of shocking to me. Daryl Morey stepping down as GM of the Houston Rockets, excuse me. Really, was no really particular reason. He just decided to step down. You know, last year was controversial what he said about China and how he was what the protesters did, but China government is very strict, so they didn't like it, so they basically took NBA off TV over there. They just brought it back for the finals. I guess they'll be back next year when the season starts. And I mean, some people are saying the NBA is contradictory. You know, we got our issues here in our country with racial oppression and police brutality, etc., etc. But China is worse. Like, you basically can't think for yourself over there. At least that's basically what it is. Like, you know, you gotta do what they say, or you could be in jail, or, you know, government will come take your stuff. You know, the government really runs stuff over there. It's not like here where you got a little bit of freedom. You're basically I want to say slave, but basically you don't have no room to think for yourself. They don't allow, you know, you gotta go by what they believe, you know, the government believe in. So it was I think last year, I think the Rockets, a couple of teams were supposed to go over there and play some exhibition games or something. And he tweeted, you know, I think he tweeted, "I with the protesters," or something with the protesters or something like that. And China went crazy. Like I said, NBA lost a lot of money. People thought he was going to lose his job then. But it was some people out there, which I understand, they have this position like right is right and wrong is wrong. So, but not a lot of players speaked up on China. You know, like, well, particularly just for the example of LeBron, he didn't say much or nothing. Nobody did, you know, in the NBA. But like I said, it don't bother me too much. Only thing I mean, it might be a weak excuse, but I just figured, well, we got our own problems here. Focus on here. I don't think somebody had to cape up and speak against China per se. But I know it might be because they don't want to lose no money. I know that's probably why ain't nobody speak up. But I mean, I don't have no problem with it. I mean, maybe it is a little bit of contradiction there, but China, we don't live in China, so for them not speaking up, it don't bother me either. You know, that they didn't speak up. You know, like I said, I don't necessarily like politics mixed with sports either, but that's just the way it is. The way the media cover everything now. I'd rather just watch a basketball game, not to worry about talk about racial relations and all that stuff. But it is what it is. You know, like some people say that's why the ratings was down, because the NBA was being too woke and talking about problems in the country all the time. I just, you know, I mean, it didn't bother me once the game started. You know, there's little stuff that bothered me. That's what I understand. I think I talked about this last week deeply, so I'm not going to touch on it too much. But I just don't get it. If you like basketball, you like basketball. Like, that other stuff don't be all game. Ain't like they stop the game and start sitting around a round table and start talking, you know. The little messages on the court, eventually that don't even think about it. But I didn't, you know. So that's just me. Like I said, I went into that last week, so I'm not gonna go into it this week. But if he's stepping down because of that, I think that's kind of is bad. Kind of sucks. He say he want to find another job, and he probably found a job quickly because he did a great job at Houston. Houston couldn't get over the hump, and maybe it was like I said, he wanted to. Well, the organization said he really wanted to step down. They was forced, really. So, because the Houston owner, he is getting impatient. Of course, Mike D'Antoni didn't come back either, but I think they didn't want him back. I think that was more of a force. He don't got a job yet. Mike D'Antoni, he's still out there. Take how many jobs open? Indiana still's open. That's the one that comes to mind. There might be a few more openings in the NBA at coaching, but that's the one that I remember for sure. Because the Clippers filled their spot, the Sixers filled their spot. Oh yeah, the Pelicans is still open as well. And I think he would fit in there with the young team that they got. And JJ Redick shooting threes, he can, if the minutes offense there. And he's another guy I kind of want him to win a championship because the way the game is played today, he was well ahead of that with the Phoenix Suns in the mid-2000s. So they've been playing this way for a while. People thought he was crazy, and then he never won. So. But now that's today's game. Basically, positionless basketball. Everybody put up threes, and and he liked to shoot the ball early in the shot clock. James Harden, look at his numbers. He had probably the last couple of years with D'Antoni, the career years. He might, which I think is a good thing. He might score the ball less, but we'll see what they bring in there. Like I said, they looking at. Stan Van Gundy or Jeff Van Gundy as well. Houston is so we'll see who they have. So yeah, so the Rockets, the Pacers, and the Pelicans. It might be another team here and there, but they're the three that I know that's open. So we'll see. You got time. So the draft is November 18th. I think I see somewhere. So when that get closer, we'll talk about that. Of course, the ball kid, he's probably gonna be number one. So we'll see about that. So yeah, that was big news. It was kind of surprising to me. He had found another job quickly. I know there's a lot of people already lined up trying to get him. And again, like I said, that's the Lakers. They were to win the championship with it in 6 games against the Miami Heat. Pretty much dominated the series. The Heat won 2 close games. Jimmy Butler had to play out his mind with triple doubles, a 40-point triple double in game 3, I think it was. Then in game 5, he triple doubled again to keep them alive, and then the Lakers were able to finish them off at 6. LeBron James, Finals MVP. I think it's 4 and 4 Finals MVPs and 4 championships. Yeah, because I think he won Finals MVP, both Miami titles, and the Cleveland title, of course, and then this one. But the Lakers, like I said, I picked the Lakers before the pandemic, before all this stuff. I think they still would have won if the season was normal. It would have ended back in June. I think they still would have won the championship. A lot of people don't think so. A lot of people think, well, the Clippers would have played better. A lot of people ain't like the bubble, but the Lakers, give them credit. They was all about the bubble. They focused. They kept their focus. Other teams fell apart. Most teams. Because they couldn't handle the bubble, which I don't, I'm not condemning them for, but you gotta give people credit that was able to handle the bubble. People use that as a real excuse. Oh, well, if it wasn't for this bubble, nah, man, basketball is basketball. Once you get out there and play, you play. Yeah, it was a different circumstance mentally, mental strain, but LeBron was able to overcome that and win his 4th title. I don't think it's less, a less than title, or yeah, it was probably the easiest path to the title. Ever. Like, it's probably his easiest ring, but like I said, I thought they was gonna win it anyway, regardless of all this stuff going on. So congratulations to them. LeBron Of course, the debate been coming up again. Who's the GOAT, Michael Jordan or LeBron James? Like I said, I'm on the Jordan side on here, but I think the conversation, like I said, it gets more interesting and interesting the more LeBron plays. He'll be back for this 18th year. He's made the finals 10 times, which, like I said, 8 in a row. Like that, yeah. I mean, he didn't win them all, but that has to mean something. Like, I think that's a huge accomplishment to do it in this era. With so much competition, to get to the finals. To even though you could say how the East was or whatever, but he still dominated it. Got to the finals 8 straight times with 2 different teams, by the way. So that's an accomplishment. The titles, like, even if to me that would be Jordan always had that advantage because he, like I said, he is 6-0 in the finals. But to get to the finals 10 times has to matter too. But even if he ties them at 6, he still got the losses there because what he's 4-6 in the finals. So, but if he could somehow even it up to 6-6, I think that sounds a little bit more respectable. Like I said, to me, probably, I don't know if he could ever pass Jordan to me, but like I said, my ears are way more open than they was maybe 2-3 years ago. I was like, Jordan is it's not even a debate. But what he's done, and like I said, I tell this story about LeBron all the time. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he is. I thought he was going, he came straight from high school, which a lot of players was doing. Kobe, Kevin Garnett, the name too, they about to go to Hall of Fame. So it wasn't necessary that he came out. I just thought the way his game was, he was sort of, he probably would be a decent player, but sort of fizzle out as he got older. But he's playing better than he ever has. And he went to Miami, that was kind of first, but he did win 2 titles there. Now, I go back looking on that, I thought they should have won at least 3 in the 4 years. But he got 2 there. You go back to Cleveland. The first year sucked because everybody got hurt. Kevin Love and Kyrie went down. He probably would have won that one. I guess the Warriors wasn't quite the Warriors yet, but then after that year, the Warriors was rolling. Then they added Kevin Durant, and it was over. Then, nobody was going to beat them then. That's why I think Toronto would have lost last year if Kevin Durant was healthy, and Klay Thompson as well. And that's another team I didn't mention that'll be back. They'll be back next year. They got a high draft pick, so I wonder what they're going to do with that. So the Warriors are going to be competitive as well next year. But yeah, I still got Jordan over LeBron, and so I did a lot of thinking. My top 5 NBA players of all time. Of course, I always say my top 2. You know who my top 2 is, but 5 through 3. This is just my opinion. Number 5, Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson, what he did for the NBA in the 80s. Basically, NBA was sort of basically dying. At least that's how they was, predicted it. Like it was just going, was fading out. But when Magic and Bird got the, forced that rivalry between the Lakers and the Celtics, the NBA exploded and pretty much been on the map ever since. But 5 titles. He went to the finals, I think, 9 times. Definitely still the greatest point guard in history. Unfortunate, he contracted HIV, but even off the court, he's been a great man, helping people, even helping people with that awareness of the HIV, and he's had a great, he's a perfect example for anybody that has to live with that, which is, like I said, I lost my older sister, the complications of that, so I know a little bit about it. It breaks you down mentally, and it broke my sister down mentally, but he stayed healthy. I guess he took he took care of himself, so I got much more respect for that. But just on the court, he was the greatest point guard ever. I didn't really see a lot of Magic. I was sort of too young, but just to know what he did in the '80s alone, he's definitely my top five, in the top five. Number four, I gotta say Kobe. Nah, it's not a sentimental thing. This is, I probably, if I really would have thought about this before he passed, I probably would have put him up here. I just thought about it, like my life, in my lifetime. See, that's another thing. I'm going by what my opinion. What he did, you know, in his career, he came straight from high school. He struggled his first couple of years. Then the Lakers got Shaq, and Shaq was, you know, he was the more dominant guy, or doing the three-peat. But Kobe, so many times, like I said, I always go back to that Indiana series, the first title, the first of the three-peat game. It was a game 5 or game 4. Shaq fouls out and he takes over that game. That's, to me, that's when he arrived. And what he did with Pau Gasol, winning 2 more titles. It's just his mentality, the Black Mamba mentality. Just during this era, like, you know, I think he only won 1 MVP, which is, to me, is shocking that he didn't win more MVPs. LeBron sort of came, you know, he was still in his prime when LeBron came in the league, but LeBron was supposed to be his rival. You know, they never met in the finals. Something else that never happened. Beat the Boston Big Three. Now, I think like I said, I said this, people don't agree. That was an overrated time. They only won 1 title. Now, the Lakers, Kobe did beat them. But, you know, Orlando got through. You know, that Big Three was together for a couple of years. And I like Kevin Garnett. I was happy for Kevin Garnett because he's one of my favorite players of all time as well. Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. But they only won 1 title. So it's like I think this is celebrated a little bit too much for me. That's just me. That's me. You know, but I said that. But Kobe's 4th all time to me. I just think he dominated his era. You know, then he has, you know, we got the off the field court stuff. I think that's hurt him for a while as far as people liking him. But and rest in peace. You know, I'm still shocked that he's not here anymore. Like I said, I was really hurt when I found out he died. So family doing well though. Like if you look at the news, they doing real well. They prospering, so I'm happy about that. But he was, I mean, it's just sad because he was happy, man. Like he was really content with his life, and that's, you know, you can't. Like I just wish I could feel like that, you know. But he's 4th to me. Like I said, forget any day off the court, like I said. But he dominated this era before he retired. Definitely was the best player since Jordan, as far as at that position. Number 3, I think he can argue, yeah, he's the GOAT. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's number 3. Like, he's not clear enough. Like, the top 3 I'm clear on. Kobe and Magic, it took me a while. I just decided with those 2 because of what they did, you know, in their careers, you know, their dominance in their career. So I went ahead and, you know, it's like, it's a lot of people can argue. Like, I think Larry Bird deserves some looks at. Tim Duncan, I think of what he did in his career. He's probably, them 2 probably in my top 10 if I had to spell the list of 10. Shaquille O'Neal, Wilt Chamberlain got it, like, even though in our era, basically he was just the biggest person on the court, but the numbers that he put up was just crazy. 50 points a game, 20-something rebounds a game, like, it was just nuts. So we have to be in there somewhere. But to stay with my list, like I said, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all-time leading scorer. I think he went to the finals about 9 or 10 times. Won 1 in Milwaukee before he got to the LA, so he got 6, just like Mike do. Just was dominant, man. Just was and quiet about it. Like, he wasn't a guy. Like you can't like you know how they bring up old clips of people saying stuff to the media. Like, you don't never see the old clips of him talking. It's be Magic or somebody else. But not Kareem. I think he gets disrespected. And even just to throw in his college career, how he dominated in college. Like, he just was dominant every time he stepped on the court. Now Milwaukee was starting to fade away a little bit. Then he was able to get to LA. his career took off again. And I think he played till he was 40 years old, so that's impressive as well. Now, they said LeBron might have a chance to catch him all-time scoring, but I think LeBron will still have to play like another probably 5 years, which he probably can. LeBron keeps himself in shape, so he probably can. If he really wants it, he can get that record. But Kareem is third, and then number 2 is LeBron James, and Jordan is number 1. We already talked about them too. So that's my top 5 NBA players of all time. And like I said, this video is longer than I thought it was going to be. I think I'm already about 30 minutes, 40 minutes in. Alright, but we get down to the final stretches. We're going to talk some NFL news now. I had written here, but now it's been, the story changed that the Colts had an outbreak of COVID, but now they said all the tests was false negatives. False positives, so Colts are good to go. But the Jaguars, I see this one had to shut down their facilities. The Patriots again had a positive test. The Titans are back to normal. But it's, like I said, we're gonna have these situations probably the rest of the whole season. And probably have games. Like I said, we had a game on Tuesday night last week. We had no games Thursday. So games supposed to get moved around. People probably going to lose bye weeks. Like I said, the Patriots play the Broncos, I think Monday this week. That game was supposed to be last week, so there's a lot of moving around already. We'll see if the NFL can make it work. But it's going to be tough. Like I said, it's going with COVID. Look like it ain't going nowhere. And now it's like, now, don't get me wrong, I don't want to catch the thing, but if you do your research, at least what I've seen, you basically got a less than 1% chance of dying, if you contract the disease. But a lot of people have died, so it's nothing to still not to play with. But you basically have a high chance of living. And some people don't need to be hospitalized. Some people just isolate at home for 2 weeks, which sucks. Like I said, it still sucks. Like, don't get me wrong. Let's not go out there and just be willy-nilly. Plus, it's, all over the country, the spikes. We had spikes in the positives again. Still don't go out there and mess around. But I do think I now don't blame people for trying to open things back up and live your life, because you're basically stuck in the house, so I kind of don't blame you. I was one of those, I don't want to say I was paranoid, but I was like, man, I don't need, every time I step out here it's like a risk, man. But I'm from Baltimore, and like I said, my theory is I think Baltimore is not somewhere people want to come in and travel to. There's nothing here that, it's not like a tourist city. People come here, don't get me wrong, people probably travel here, that's in state, but like, this ain't somewhere that everybody in the country, like a Vegas or Los Angeles or New York, they like places people want to go. It's not, oh, let's go to Baltimore. If you're from like California, you don't want to come, you're not coming all the way over here to go to Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that's how ours is sort of under control, even though we had spikes here in Maryland as well. But well, the NFL just go out this deal, just push through it. I guess that's what they're going to try to do, just push through this situation. But it's good news that the Colts, the test was false positive, so nobody has it there. But the Patriots had another positive test yesterday. They had to shut down practice, so I don't know if they're going to cancel the game or push the game with Denver again. And I seen the Jaguars had a positive test, so they had to shut down. So teams all over the place, of course. Like I said, the Titans probably dealt with it the worst so far, and they looked good. The Titans, I give the Titans credit for barely practicing and destroying the Bills. And the Bills play the Chiefs Monday night. That Patriots Broncos game, that's a Sunday game. Apologize for that, yeah, because it's Broncos. It's Bills Chiefs Monday night. We go along with think it's Dallas and somebody on Monday night. But it's 2 games Monday night again. So like I said, the schedule just will be all flipped up upside down. Like it even affected the Ravens. They lost. Well, they bye week could just be pushed up closer. I think they'd be off next week instead of they were supposed to be off November 1st, and they play the Steelers, which is a huge game. And speaking of huge games, we're gonna look at some of the games this week. Some of the big games I think be interesting to look at this week. Le'Veon Bell to the Chiefs. He chose the Kansas City Chiefs. Good choice because you know how good Andy Reid with that offense going to be. I think they need to establish the running game. The rookie Hilaire has hit a little bit of a wall, so they need to get a consistent running game. Can Le'Veon Bell get back to the old Le'Veon Bell? That's remain to be seen. I think being with the Jets though, definitely could put a toll on you a little bit. But they just flat out released him, and then he signed with the Chiefs. So, but he won't be available this week. When you get traded, I think, or sign with a new team, you gotta go through COVID protocol, which is needed. So I think you gotta quarantine for a couple of days. So he ain't going to practice anything. So he won't be available for this week's game, but next week he'll be ready. And the crazy thing is the Chiefs play the Jets, I think, in a few weeks. So yeah, so he'll get a little revenge, I guess, if you want to call it that. But Chiefs is already a contender, so I don't think this really push. I mean, it probably separates them. If he comes and really give them something, yeah, it will separate them. Because that offense would be lethal, but Chiefs still gotta get that defense together. They get a good pass rush, but on the back end, you can really carve them up a little bit. So they need to fix that. But that's a big signing though for the Chiefs, huge signing. So we'll see how that work out. So let's look at this week's games again. I'm just gonna skim through a few some big games. Let's see. Schedule. Because I know Brown Steelers, which I just skimmed across, that's going to be a huge game in the AFC North. I think the Browns are more for real this year than last year. I think they finally starting to know to run the ball. So this will be an interesting matchup because the Steelers are going to get stopping the run. Can the Browns defense step up and slow down Ben? This Chase Claypool rookie getting a lot of hype. Him and Juju Smith-Schuster, and all of a sudden now they look like 2 great receivers. James Conner, I think he got to play a little bit better. But that's going to be a huge game this week. Bears Panthers. A lot of these people think these are fake teams, but Panthers are 3-2. Panthers could get this win. They can stay. The Patriots play the Packers, which is another huge game. And if the Panthers could win this game, Bucks might lose that game. I don't know who the Saints play this week. Cardinals and Cowboys. That's the other Monday night game, by the way. Oh, the Saints are off this week. Yeah, it must be. I don't see the Saints on here. So the Saints off. They could be in first place. So that's a huge game. I just mentioned Packers, Buccaneers. Aaron Rodgers against Tom Brady. That's always something you want to see. So that's a big game. That's a late game, 4 o'clock. Sunday night game, Rams 49ers. That's interesting. Do the Rams keep going? Garoppolo will get the start. He said he's back 100%. So if you don't play good this week, it's going to be some controversy there because they benched him last week. So we'll see how that goes. And like I said, the 2 Monday night games, Cardinals, Cowboys. Cowboys want to stay steady. Cardinals as well. Try to keep up with the Rams and the Seahawks. Seahawks is off this week too. I don't see the Seahawks on here either. I actually got to write up. We play a pool here at the facility I work in. We play a pool every week, so I'm gonna have to write them up today. Bills and Chiefs. That's gonna be a huge game as well. That's a early 5 o'clock kickoff in Buffalo. So there's some of the interesting games this week, and I'm pretty much finished now. Let's look at some college football because there's some big college football games today. Of course, other news. Coach Saban of the Alabama Crimson Tide, he contracted COVID-19. We ain't heard anything other than that, so the game's still on today. Players, I think none of the players contracted it, which is good. So, but Georgia, Alabama, that's an 8 o'clock game on CBS tonight. Definitely the biggest game of the weekend. So they sure used to do that. I see a couple of games been postponed. Cincinnati, Tulsa, Florida, LSU. That was going to be a big game, but Florida, the Gators, they had a lot of positive COVID tests. Oklahoma State, Baylor have been canceled. Yeah, but that's definitely the biggest game of the week, and it's going to still take place. So, but like I said, COVID, it's just out here, man. Gotta be more careful, I guess. I don't know, I don't know, oh, excuse me, I'm just over this virus, man. Like, honestly, I'm just over it. Kind of just, now that, they keep, it's something new every day. Now they're saying there won't be a vaccine for maybe 2-3 years for younger people because, like I said, the data, younger people can deal with the virus better. So if they have a vaccine, the older, which I think is the right thing to do, the older folks will get it first, and it might be 2 to 3 years out, So, but that's just an interesting game, that's probably the biggest game of the week, period, football. Georgia, Alabama, that's going to go a long way with the playoff and everything else. Big Ten about to start, I think, next Saturday. I think the Pac-12 don't start till November. So, well, they factor in the playoff. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting, but that's a big game. I'll probably be checking that out tonight. Alabama, Georgia. I just want to see how both teams. I haven't seen none of these teams this year. I haven't watched a lot of college football this year. Just an update on the channel, of course. Next week, let's see, is it a Thursday game in the NFL? Oh no. Well, this week, hold on, week 7. Yeah, Giants, Eagles, unless something happened, I would preview Giants, Eagles, so I'll be back Thursday. But if something happened, there's no game, I'll do what I did last week. I'll just preview the whole rest of the week, and do it that way. But if everything goes as planned, I'll preview Giants, Eagles next Thursday. That's the next time I'll be on. Look out for videos of Cuphead. I'm almost done Crash, I believe. As far as like just beating a simple game, but like I said, getting them gems and stuff is gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be rough. But check out those 2 games, and maybe a little Call of Duty here and there. I just want to say thank you for joining me this morning. Hope you enjoy your weekend. See you back Thursday. And like I said, keep out if you want to see Crash. Keep an eye out on that, Cuphead, and everything else. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.